Hey girls, just a quick video review from last weekend. So, just going to show you several clips of the Saturday match versus the Sunday match, and some of the benefits of trying to dominate in an opponent's half, especially if they're not high pressing. It's there's a difference between a team that has numbers up higher versus an all-out press, and different solutions that you need to find. So, we're just going to take a look at these here, and what I want you to focus on the ones from Saturday is, recognize how many white jerseys we have in our own half, trying to get out of the buildup versus their three, when there's a lot of space in beyond them, and see how easy it is for her to come and defend Jay there. Still not really a problem here. Once we transfer the ball to the other side, you can see how they're able to shift over, and we look a little bit higher, but it's still not high enough. We'd want to see Kate as a six drop into this area, or even if Lubick drops in, then Kate can stay higher, just to make sure that we at least show them what we're capable of doing. Again, this isn't bad, but the idea is look how many players are still in the middle of the field versus how many players we have attacking. So now we have two players that are attacking versus having five or six, which I think you'll see in the other clips on Sunday. And again, it's a different opponent, but they're still, that's not really a press. That's just kind of us not taking advantage of the space. You see that Chloe's under their defender, Jalen's under their defender, Kate's high instead of central. Lubick's almost could find this space here. If Kate were to vacate, she could find that space there. Obviously, and a ball into Amelia works out as well. Sammy gets out of it, but now there's that situation where we're, really just playing into their hands on how they want to defend us. Okay, so this is better with Kate coming in. Still want to try and establish a rhythm. With you three here, trying to play a couple of passes before you break this line here. Even that ball out to Jalen would have probably been a great, way to move them a little bit. And then we're kind of transitioning to defend. The good news is we have plenty of numbers here, but how many players are attacking in their half, when Sammy has that ball? And again, it's none, because we haven't quite broken down their initial line of defense. Again, so Sammy's dropped back very far, and in the event we lose possession, it would make it difficult. We don't lose it, but ultimately we're asking Lubick to do a lot more here, instead of opening up the field. And look, you can see how their defense is lined up here. We basically have to break them down on a dribble versus doing it by getting players higher up the field, outside backs, preferably. So again, it starts out in a good initial shape. This is a little better here, in terms of finding, wide players. Again, Jalen, if you go this way, she will have to either follow or she'll have to go into Sammy there. And then look how spread out we are due to the expansive shape. And again, once Lubick, just as a general rule of thumb for you guys, once Lubick goes in on the dribble, you got to assume that there's a chance that any player going in on the dribble could potentially lose a 1v1 battle. So it's important for us to, start to get connected unless we have open space to run. And maybe it's a foul, maybe it's not, but now we've got to get together quicker. You guys do a pretty good job of that. Jalen, like to see you in a little bit more. But now look at the amount of players they have on top of the 18. So a better service here, and we could be in a little bit more trouble. So now you see the difference now when we're working against the opponent with numbers. Now look how many players we're going to have inside the 18. On this goal here, you can see having five players up is a lot better than having one or two players running from outside the 18. A better indication here. Kate drops in, so this is very good. I'd say that the Century team was probably dropped back 5 to 7 yards more than the Beadling team, which is fine. But you can see as soon as this player goes, we have all the numbers we want here. So now if Sammy or Bree play a long ball, we have more opportunity or more players that are able to win it, versus just having two players running. Now you have, if I move this forward, you're going to see 7 players if you count Jay out here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players attacking in their half, and makes it a lot better for us. And this is good, just that first touch there from Chloe Lee gets her the goal, but you can see how many players we have up. Now, in this situation, and this is before we get to transition to defend, it's probably a better idea, Kate, for you to be up higher since Bree and Sammy were in a 2v1. Either way, you did a good job to sniff it out. Make sure we drop in a little bit more, Alicia, just because you're that player that's going to have to help there. Still a 2v1, but again, making sure that when we get numbers forward that we're ready to, with the countermeasures to defend is crucial. Again, and this is just showing you some of the quality that we had, when players, started to advance a little bit more. So you can see here, look at where Jay is now, and it's a great sequence with her and Lubick, and then now look at the numbers we have in their half, okay? That's what we're looking for. It doesn't matriculate into a goal, but at least we see, the difference now and how we're trying to, get beyond them. It's 5, 6 white jerseys in front of us. And now as soon as this player leaves Chloe's wide open. And now look at the amount of players we have playing in this quadrant right here. Okay, we should be able to be very successful, and you can see how confusing it looks for the Century team. They just have too many people to defend. And Alicia, I'd like to see you get this ball out of your feet here and maybe find Jalen just to move him across one more time. Not a bad effort to find Hannah here. Hannah turns and scores, then we're all celebrating. But just to continue to move opponents, especially against this Yuki's team, this week, they'll be in a 4-4-2, they'll be higher pressing, but it's important for us to switch to point of attack. Again, outside back really high as a winger, and super important to continue to get the ball forward and dominate possession in their half. Again, very good. 4 white jerseys played out of the game just on one pass, and now we're in good combination. Maybe play that in front of her a little bit. But again, very important for us to, be on the front foot and attack the opponent in their own half and make them work to defend. Again, great ball in, doesn't make it, but that's the idea. And again, just as a review, when we play, Yuki's, just recognizing that if we're playing an outside back high, the other outside back needs to tuck in a little bit just because of their forward counter. So recognizing this is a goal kick, but it's still a transition to defend moment, and it's still important for us to have good shape. The reason why this is a problem is the ball started here, and then you can see where our center backs are. It's really spread apart, and we want to make sure that we get a little bit tighter. And while we have numbers here, we're allowing the Century team to play in. Now, recognize this right here. Once she gets on the ball here, any of you outside backs have to make sure that you're protecting the space in behind. It shouldn't be Bree running and dealing with this, because if this player gets to it before Bree and crosses it in, then she's 1v1 into goal, because you can see where everybody else is. So again, take a look at that, rewind that clip, and just make sure that we're understanding the moment of they've got the ball, they're about to play it in behind us. We got to make sure our outside backs protect the space in behind. Again, transition to defend. It's our ball. And as soon as there's a loss of possession, what's the moment we might have a loss of possession? Okay, so as soon as you see it's 3v2 here, so they have the 3, 1, 2, 3, and we have 2 players, it's so super important that we start to get players back, to help. So, of course, Jalen, make sure you're tucking in. Sammy's going over to cover a little quicker. And again, that's the hardest part to do, is when we have possession of the ball, we want to be really big, but in terms of our shape, but then we got to recognize the moments. If someone's in a 1v1, someone 1v1 dribble, someone's getting into a 2v3 when we're down, we don't have that numerical superiority. Again, they clearly have the ball. We want to start working our way back just into our shape. There has to be, I think Christian talked about it at half, whoever doesn't have an initial mark, it's okay to step as soon as we are covering and have this triangle, set. And it looked like Sammy, you started to step, but then they got, it just wasn't there quick enough, and she was able to play the ball. Again, transition to defend. We've lost possession of the ball immediately, and then obviously pressure on the ball as well. And because of this situation, we have a little bit of an off clearance, and then whatever the call was here, and ultimately that led to the goal that they did score on us. So again, just recognizing again what is the objective there in terms of covering. So we can see that we get this ball, and this is just a quick clip on ball security. Could we have secured the ball with Bree there? Could we have let it go and played back to Amelia? Could we have tapped it out wide to either side? That's the question. Okay, so we're still not out of it. Sammy does a good job of applying pressure on the ball. But once we win the ball here, can we secure it right away? The quality of the pass there is important. Again, we've just lost possession of the ball, and our center back is in a 1v1, so we've got to make sure that we create some density and make it really difficult for them to find passes. But again, it all stems from the initial ball security and finding a player that has time and space, and then getting into our bigger shape. So anyways, a little bit of information. Hope you guys gained something from this. We thought you guys did really well on Sunday. Continue to build on it and look forward to the weekend.